tell you to. We need to meet.
Okay, let's meet at the studio.
Okay, I'll be there in 5.
My name's Pricila Delatorre.
And my name is Jordan Hemp,
And you're listening to Off the Market Confessions,
where we talk about real stories, real estate, and real life.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Pricila.
And I am Jordan.
And welcome to Off the Market Confessions.
We're like in our 22nd episode now.
This is crazy. Halfway through the year. So what should we talk about today?
I don't know. You know what? Something that has come to mind recently is why deals fall apart before closing.
Oh,
this is
that's
something
a good
that
one.
I was thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a good example of this, but I think there's like a bunch of reasons why deals fall apart before closing. And it could be the craziest reasons, but there's some big ones too.
Yeah.
Right?
Tell us. You start, because I have a lot of things.
I think like the two biggest reasons why deals fall apart before closing is like a bad home inspection,
Yeah.
or maybe like a low appraisal.
Yeah. Bad inspection, what do you think would be bad? Because I think I just had an inspection yesterday, and sometimes some of the things that we find, people think like, oh, this is a big deal. But maybe to us, because we see it all the time, it's not a big deal. And we know that there's, a solution for it. But what would you consider something bad?
I think one of the most common things that comes up in an inspection that people will like draw the line is mold.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like that's so scary to some
Yes.
people, and especially people with newborns. But I just want to be clear, mold is treatable.
It is.
And yes, there can be some really bad cases of it. And you might think we live in a pretty dry climate and it's not as common like as maybe the west side where it's really wet. That could be true, except that it's probably more common than you think because it all has to do with ventilation.
Right.
And it's most of the time found in attics.
Yes.
So if there's not proper ventilation, and there's even the slightest bit of moisture in there or just stagnant air, it causes a little bit of mold or mildew. And I think they say like mildew is like the precursor to mold. So it can like show up as like a little bit of a white substance or it could be black. I mean, it can be quite a few different colors.
Yeah.
Just depending on what it is. But it's all around ventilation. And I feel like people at first when they're like, oh my God, there's mold.
It's mold,
like,
yeah.
That's so bad. That's so
Right.
bad. But I actually don't think it's that bad. It's not that bad because it's treatable. It's really not as expensive to treat as people think. And as a buyer, I would say there's two things that needs to happen from the seller. One, have the seller treat it. Usually you can find out like if it's on sheathing on one side of the house or whatever. Sometimes it's the north side.
Yeah.
In our region, it tends to be on the north side of a house because the sun is on the south. And if it's on the north side, that just means ventilation needs to be added in the roof. So I would tell the sellers, treat it and then find out what caused it, where the lack of ventilation is at, and put in roof vents or gable vents, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you should be good.
Yeah.
And
But it's
that's
not a deal
reasonable.
killer. Yeah, it's not a deal killer. I feel like a lot of people do get scared.
But too many people, are just like, nope, I'm not even going to deal with that. Done.
Yeah. And
Back out.
it is very common. I feel like maybe out of 5 houses, like 3 of 5 houses will have mold.
I don't know if my ratio is that high.
Mine is pretty high. I mean, my inspection yesterday, there was mold. The house I closed on last week or earlier this week, there was mold. I mean, it was treated for that other house, but I feel like I see it almost, I don't know, every other inspection. Yeah.
I haven't seen it for a little while. I think last time I saw it was last August. And we had the sellers treat it. They treated the whole attic, even though it wasn't in the whole attic. It was
Nice.
just one portion. And then they added ventilation to the side gables, which is like below the peaks on the wall. But mold is a deal killer sometimes. Foundation issues.
Yeah,
Gosh.
that's a big one. For me, I mean, honestly, almost everything can be fixed. For me, that is probably the biggest thing. If the house is leaning, or even like a saggy roof.
Yeah.
I've had one where we went under contract. They accepted our offer. We had multiple roofers come out, and basically they said that they had to remove the whole entire top of the roof of the house and reinstall everything because of
New
how bad it
trusses
was.
and all
New
that.
trusses,
Yeah.
everything.
That's expensive.
That's probably like, I don't know how expensive, but
Depends on the size of the
it's
house.
really
but
expensive. But we ended up backing out because I told them, I'm like, mind you, the roof was new. The roof that they put on was new, but they didn't get to like the main part of the house, like the trusses. That needed to be replaced too whenever they redid the roof.
Somebody kind of
Probably
didn't do,
DIY'd it or
yeah,
something.
they didn't go the
Mhm.
full extent, which
Yeah.
thank you for meeting us halfway, but you're not really solving
Right.
the problem.
Right.
If it doesn't have good structure beneath it,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So yeah, anything structural for me is huge. If there's weird stuff going on, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we want to come to that in a second.
We'll come back. Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, I had this one deal that closed a year and a half ago. We
Mhm.
sold it. I think it was in wintertime. My
Mhm.
pictures had snow in it, I
Mhm.
remember. And I think we sold it in like February or March or something
Mhm.
like that. And the basement, this house was in rough shape.
Mhm.
The electrical panel didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was this little fuse box with this like janky wire that came off the
Oh
power pole down
no.
to the house. Little fuse box, rusty and
Mhm.
so bad. And that was like supplying power to this whole house. The roof was bad. The siding was bad. And the basement, it had actually quite a bit of
Mhm.
square footage and it was down by Fair Avenue, kind of by Kiwanis Park.
Mhm.
But the basement had this one wall where the concrete foundation wall had a crack horizontal across. And it was like bulging inward. It was
Oh
like rounded
no.
like a belly. Like it was,
Oh no.
and
That
so
sounds like trouble right
that would
away.
have needed to be dug out and like
Mhm.
poured,
New
a whole new
concrete.
foundation wall
Mhm.
there. Oh my gosh, that was such a hard sell.
Yeah.
And we ended up selling it. I think we sold that one for cash to somebody. We
Mhm.
got a decent amount for it. I mean, that was hard. That was really hard.
Mhm.
And we were like very upfront with people
Mhm.
about that. We're like, we've had so many buyers come in and back out over
Mhm.
this. Don't even make an offer
Mm.
if you're not comfortable with that.
Right.
And somebody came in and they fixed it up. It looks really nice now. It's the
Oh
nicest
wow.
house on the block.
Oh wow.
Uh,
There was one I had similar like crazy issues. There was a lot of electrical stuff, same thing, like a super old wiring. And then whoever the technician is that they brought in to do some of the work, because they did to do some upgrades according to well, I don't want to blame it on anybody, but it just wasn't done correctly. I mean, the house looked great. It looked great on photos. Also, we did another big one is we did what is it called when they put the camera in
a sewer
a
scope.
sewer scope, and there was roots all like it was all
Oh,
rotted. It was really bad.
that could kill a deal.
It was bad. I mean, it was completely rotted. There was roots everywhere. That's the reason that we ended up backing out. But that house had so many things. The electrical stuff was like really janky. Whoever they brought in to redo the electrical did not do a good job.
Wow.
The water heater, when we went for the first inspection, because we extended it, we asked for the 5 more days. The water heater, the water was turned off on it. But then when we went back and we told them to like, fix it or whatever, it was literally like water was gushing out of the water
Oh,
heater,
wow.
which is probably not safe either. And it was in the basement. It was just, there was a lot of stuff going on with that house. We ended up,
Wow.
backing out. But I told my clients like, hey, I support whatever you want to do because I don't know if I would buy this house
Yeah.
either. So,
But and sometimes I think it comes down to negotiations.
Mhm.
If you can negotiate some of those repairs, good. I had one that I sold in Tri-Cities a little more than a year ago. Had a sewer issue with the lines being plugged with roots. So it
Oh.
needed a new sewer line.
Yeah.
The roots were growing through the sewer line back into the house
Mm.
and they grew up into the toilet.
Ew,
Yeah.
what
So
the hell?
we had already agreed to a purchase price, and this was an estate.
Mhm.
So we agreed to a lower purchase price and got closing costs. And then we told them, we're like, we can't buy this house if it doesn't have working
Mhm.
plumbing. That's just how it is.
Ah.
And the sellers knew, like, we can't sell a house like
Yeah.
this. So they replumbed the whole house and got a new sewer line. So I think overall we were like $37,000 to $40,000 in like
Wow.
discounts for my clients.
Mhm.
So I told them, I was like, you guys scored on
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
that was amazing. But I do remember the sewer bill alone was $15,000.
That's crazy.
So my clients never would have been able to afford that.
Mhm.
But
I
it
had
just
one.
comes down to negotiations.
Yeah,
Right?
it really does. And this is why I tell my clients, like, listen, we can pretty much ask for whatever we want and see what they say. I had one here, and this one was in Moxie, and the house was only like 250 or 260 or something. And they did about $42,000 or $43,000 worth of
Wow.
repairs. We asked for a ton of stuff and they didn't. So
That's awesome.
that's been my highest one with like how much as far as repairs. And I didn't think they were gonna say yes. And the listing agent, I literally thought like he's not gonna go for this. And he called me and he's like, Priscilla, in my years of doing this has never happened, but the seller's gonna do everything. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
okay, cool. So
That's
you never
crazy.
know. Just ask for what you want and you know?
Yeah. And I
But
think
but I think also us being realistic and setting that expectation, like know that the seller doesn't have to do these things.
they
They
don't.
don't have to say that they don't have to do anything. So know that, or have in mind, like, what is going to be your decision if they do say no? Are you
Yeah.
going to,
Right.
like, you should be willing
What's
to,
your deal breaker?
yeah. Are you going to walk away, or know that it's a chance that they won't do anything, because some people won't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're not required to.
I tell my clients when we're looking at homes to save them the
Mhm.
time and grief later,
Mhm.
look at the roof. Just kind of, I mean, I have a pretty good judgment on roofs at this
Same.
point. Yeah,
Same.
we both do.
Yeah.
We can look at one and say like,
And I'll
it doesn't
point
look
it
that
out.
bad.
I'll point
But
if
if
I
it's
see
bad,
something weird, even if
yes.
it's like a little bit of a sag, I'll be like, just, I said something to keep an eye on is this, if you guys do decide to make an offer,
Yeah.
we'll definitely have the inspector take a look at what's going on up there.
Yeah.
Because there's something happening.
Right.
You know.
And the same thing, I
Mhm.
tell them during a showing, like, I'm
Mhm.
just pointing that out because we need to kind of
Mhm.
make sure that we're taking things into consideration when
Right.
we make our offer and when we do our home
Right.
inspection. But I always tell them, look at the roof. Let's use our
Mhm.
judgment to see, does it look like it's going to need to be replaced right away? That's something to know going into it because more than likely a seller is not going to want to
Right.
replace it. And then look at the windows.
Mhm.
I only tell people this because if it is a single pane window, they're not efficient. But
Mhm.
if they're like double pane but really old, like aluminum or whatever, the cost of upgrading windows is really, really expensive. So just know, like, if you're looking at a home that might need window upgrades,
Right.
that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And I would rather that come out of somebody else's pocket than
Mhm.
yours. And then look at the furnace and the outside heat pump or air
Yeah.
conditioning unit because those are also, if you have to replace the two of those together, that's
It's
going to be
expensive.
15,000.
Yeah.
And then I always tell people look at the electrical panel. And then sometimes we look at the water heater and then we kind of take just a brief look at what you can tell from the plumbing, but those are all major systems in a home or fixtures. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at a home, if you're not comfortable with having to upgrade something that expensive, imagine having to do all of those at the same time.
Yeah.
That would break the bank. And that's just general maintenance.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It doesn't it adds a little bit of value to your home when you replace stuff like that, but it's just standard maintenance as
Yeah.
part of being a homeowner. And I know when I bought my house, I was so thankful that the owners had replaced the windows within 4 years of me buying it. They replaced the roof within 4 years of me buying it.
Nice.
And they replaced the furnace within 4 years.
Oh,
All of
that's
it was done in
amazing.
2018 and I
Yeah.
bought it in 2022.
Wow.
So they didn't do all the windows, they did most of them.
Yeah.
But I was just thankful because this house needed a lot of cosmetic work, but they got the big ones out of the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was able to focus on the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always look at the big ticket items first. That's, I think, such a plus when you're looking at new construction.
Yeah.
But I also always think that the quality of the older houses is better than the newer houses.
100%.
So
yeah.
you kind of, I mean, if you have an older house and it's updated and it has the new roof, new water heater, new HVAC, go for the old one.
I agree. I agree.
But,
Homes that were built
just the
from
quality. Yeah.
homes that were built structurally, homes that were built from the 20s to the 80s are really solid homes. Like my home was built in 1965 and it has real 2x4s. If you go measure a 2x4, it is not 2 inches by 4 inches. It's 1.5 by 3.5.
Wow.
That's what they are now. But a real 2x4 is 2x4.
Yeah.
And so my house was built with the real ones
Right.
and they're just, we're probably getting
Stronger.
off
Yeah.
topic, but like they're stronger, they last way longer. They have way more character, I feel like. They're not cookie cutter or the same as the house next door.
Right.
I could go on and on about like why I think an old house has more benefits than
Right.
a brand new home.
Right.
But you are right. When you get a brand new home, you don't have to worry about any of those appliances
For a
for at
long
least
time.
12 to maybe 20 years,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about people.
Why people
How
might
peop-
cause a deal to fall apart.
Yes. And not just people like me, your agent, me as your agent, I want what's best for you, right? I'm gonna
What
point
other
out,
people have influence on a sale? That's
yes.
perfect.
Your parents, your friends,
Home inspectors.
your home inspector, your uncle that bought a
Lenders.
house, your
Lenders even.
lender. Do you have any crazy? I have a good one. I have a good
Share it.
story. Okay.
I'll think about it.
So and this happens, I see this all the time. It makes me really sad too when I see it because I'm like, dang, it's kind of messed up. But I had the one that comes to mind is I had a young couple. They were buying a house. This was basically, I want to say maybe there was a fire or something. This house was a new build, but it wasn't in a community of new builds. So it was just a new build, somewhat random. And, this person brought their mom over, and the mom was just kind of nitpicking everything. The rooms are too small. This is an ugly color. I don't like this house. This house is ugly. And their demeanor was like, well, I guess if this is what you want, almost like insinuating like this is a bad, deal. One, this is a great price. We're in a good neighborhood.
A new home.
And in a brand new home, everything's new. You don't have to worry about things for a long time. And she almost like second guessed herself. She did end up closing on it. But I'm like, man, luckily this person didn't listen to like the bad opinions, because sometimes those opinions don't come from, if we're looking at the big ticket items, they're taken care of. You're getting a great deal. It's a brand new home. So what's really wrong with it? The color's ugly.
The difference is somebody's own selfish opinion is getting in the way of their better judgment for what they think is best for that person.
Yes.
So I think a second opinion from a parent is really valuable if they're giving you the right type of opinion.
Right.
So the choice of color, screw that.
Yeah, this doesn't matter.
Get out of here. This isn't your house. It's mine.
Yeah.
I don't care if you like it. But if you're telling me like, hey, like if I was your dad, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, Priscilla, like financially, is this the right move for you? Like your mortgage payment's going to be really expensive.
Right.
Are you prepared for that?
Right.
That's great advice.
That's good advice.
Have them not second guess, but have them think through just from a different perspective of like, is it financially a good decision for me? Am I, or for instance, maybe a parent saying, are you sure you want to live 30 minutes away from where you work every day?
Yeah.
Think about when you have children,
Right.
you're going to have to drop them off at daycare, or their school is going to be out here, but you work across town. Is it going to be easy for you to transport? Like those are realistic things.
Right.
But when it comes down to
like colors or taste. Yeah. And
yeah.
sometimes I think too, like you can't really, I don't know that I would accept advice from like, my grandma. Well, let's not get into it. My grandma's not alive, but if a grandparent or somebody came and said, you're paying too much for this house. No, you're not, because that's the market that we're in. Unfortunately, we're not in 2008 and we can't get a 4-bed, 3-bath for $180,000. We can't do that. $180,000 probably won't even get you a 1-bed, 1-bath anymore.
Yeah. It's actually
So-
really, you guys, if you're watching, this is so common for people who are millennials or maybe even start of Gen Z who bring their parents who have owned their home since 1993 and say like, I can't believe you're going to pay $400,000 for this house.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. Like, gosh, I remember when I bought my house for $180,000. Like, and your interest rate's a whole
Right.
7% or
Right.
whatever. Cause we have, when we refinanced our house in 2020, we got a 2.3.
Right.
Well,
Right.
guess what? None of that stuff is possible or attainable anymore. And back when people before COVID were saying, oh my gosh, the prices are so high. They're so high. I'm going to wait it out and I'm going to buy after the bubble burst. Well,
the bubble didn't burst.
the bubble
The
didn't
bubble's
burst.
still here,
And the
guys.
prices have doubled, if not maybe tripled in some cases.
Mhm.
And aren't you wishing you would have bought your house back then?
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
just plain and simple. And millennials and Gen Z, you don't have time to wait that long. You need to start building wealth now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah.
I guarantee you will not regret it. And yes, is it possible for the market to take a dip someday at some point? Could be
Maybe,
soon,
yeah.
could be later. Yes. What happened to the people who did that, who bought a house in 2006, 2007, and the market crashed? They just hunkered down,
Yeah.
stayed where they were at.
Yeah.
People lost their jobs. People were having to try to find jobs. Yes, life can be hard sometimes, but they made it work.
Yeah.
And if they were able to ride out the dip, the market always comes back.
Right. It always
So
does.
you
Yeah.
just have to be prepared and know that if you're going to buy a house, if the market takes a dip and you know that you don't want to live there for more than a couple years, really take that into consideration when you're buying a home, that if you're only going to be there for a short period of time, you need to have a very safe investment where you can at least try to break even, if not profit something when you get out. But if
Right.
you know you're in it for the long run, don't worry
Then
about it at all.
you'll be fine.
You're going to be building so much
Yeah.
wealth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy to me because those same people that say like, I can't believe you're paying this much. I only paid $1 for my house. Well, yeah, your $1 house now can probably sell for like 500.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you mean you don't understand? Like,
It's
what I
such
mean?
a hypocritical
It is.
mindset
It really
because
is.
they're the same people who
That are profiting
they're
the
telling their kids, I
Yeah.
can't believe you're going to spend that much on a house. But then when they want to list
They
their
want
house,
top
they want $1
dollar.
million for
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
They want, and
Mhm.
they
It's
probably
so
want more
funny.
than what it's actually worth.
Mhm.
It's so
Yeah,
hypocritical.
it really is.
But those are the people
But
who
yeah,
are deal killers.
those are some of the people that I think, will maybe give you just the wrong perspective or the wrong advice because
Yeah.
it's not true advice. It's just they're
It's an
thinking of
opinion, and it's a
an
selfish
opinion.
thought,
Yeah,
really.
and it's based on their time when they bought what they like. This isn't about anybody else but you. This isn't about me either as your
Mhm.
realtor. That's
Right.
why I tell my clients, I don't care what house you buy. I care that you're comfortable with your payment. I care that you're not walking into a hot mess. If there's a lot of issues, I will tell you, I don't think you should buy this house.
Mhm.
They're not willing to do these things. I don't think you should buy this house. I will tell you straight up because, again, this is about you and nobody else.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, for the next 30 years or however long you're going to be there, you're paying for this. No one else is paying for this.
Right.
So make the decision based off what you want, not what somebody else
Yeah.
is telling you to do.
And I know that we talked about how home inspections can kill a
Mhm.
deal, but let's talk about how home inspectors can kill a deal. There are some home inspectors out there.
Yeah.
So home inspectors are trained to do surface level stuff. They're
Mhm.
not a specific qualified in electrical or plumbing or general contracting. They are just kind of this umbrella type person
Mhm.
who knows how to pick out problems, but
Mhm.
not assess them
Mhm.
and tell you how to fix them. But some home inspectors think that they have a little bit of
Mhm.
knowledge in that field. Well,
Mhm.
maybe they do a little bit, and sometimes it's appreciated, and sometimes maybe it's just out of their scope. And I think that it can worry clients sometimes
Yeah.
because I wish that some home inspectors, I don't know if they ever do this or not, but I wish that they would go through communication training
Yeah.
of somehow to not scare people. They
Yeah.
need to go through tactics of how to communicate a
Right.
problem to somebody without scaring them.
Yes.
And some home inspectors are so good at it, and other home inspectors maybe not so much.
Yeah.
And so, they might find one time I had this home inspector. It was not my listing at the time.
Mhm.
It was another realtor. I hired the home inspector. I haven't used this person
Bitch, you already
maybe
know who it
since then.
is.
He went to the bathtub and picked at the caulking around the drain. He picked at it and pulled it off.
Oh my
So then it
gosh.
caused a leak in the bathtub.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so the sellers were like, hey, we try to fill our bathtub up tonight to give our kids a bath after your home inspection. And we realized the caulking has all been pulled off. And now it's leaking in the house
Shoot.
underneath. And that bathtub needed to go because it was surrounded by carpet. That's not the point. It was just that he did that. Well, then he told my clients, he's like, well, it was going to happen anyways. And I mean, the leak was already going to happen. And he got them all freaked out that this bathtub was going to flood and leak. And I was like, well, you literally made it leak
Yeah.
and kind of
That's
caused the problem.
they should have not done that.
Don't
Yeah.
pick at it.
Yeah.
Don't
Now I
pick
want
at
to
it.
know who that was. We'll
Oh,
talk
I'll
off
tell you
camera.
later. But yeah, and that person tends to scare people. Also, I know that there's certain rules for home inspectors. If the attic entrance is too small for the actual standards of what it's supposed to be,
Mhm.
they may not be able to fit through there easily.
Mhm.
But this particular home inspector could have fit through
Mhm.
this attic space, but he wouldn't. He said it doesn't meet code, so I'm not going to do that. It's a liability for me to try to squeeze through there. Dude,
That's
I could go
bullshit.
squeeze
Yeah,
through there.
that's crazy.
And so he didn't go in the attic. And she had paid for a full inspection. I feel like that should be discounted then.
Oh, yeah.
And so he never went in the attic.
Sometimes I feel like they're being lazy
Yeah.
when they do that,
Well,
when that happens.
She bought this house just over a year ago. And since then, she's had to replace the entire roof because
Mhm.
it wasn't inspected properly.
Mhm.
And she had to replace the furnace, which
Oh,
it just
no.
went out, the
Yeah.
whole HVAC system. So she's in deep on
Yeah,
that. And
I had an inspector do the
that
same
was sad.
thing.
It
That
was the
does suck.
same home inspector as the one with the bathtub.
Oh, no.
And I didn't
That
hire him. My
really-
client wanted to hire him.
Ew. I had a guy one time, and this guy took 4 hours on the house, which is fine, right? As long as it was a big house, as long as you're finding everything. But yeah, same thing. He's like, oh, that's too, and he was a heavier guy, and he's like, that entry's too small. I can't go down there. Can't inspect it, but still charge my client $600 or something crazy.
Well,
More
and I
than
don't
what it
want
more
you.
normally was.
Yeah, I don't want you to
Yeah.
go get stuck or hurt
Right,
yourself. Don't do
right.
that.
But have a
yeah.
solution. If you're an inspector,
Yeah.
have a solution, because if people are paying for this service, they expect it to be fully done. I cannot sell somebody a house if we don't know what's in the crawl space. I need to know. We need to know what's down there if
Yeah.
there's a crawl space. What do you think about houses that are on a slab of concrete?
Well, interesting. I had a deal killed over this once because it was a house in West Valley that my friends wanted to buy. It was a really cool mid-century modern house. Awesome, but it needed a lot of work. And the concrete floor was throughout the whole house, including the bathrooms. So there was no way to get under the house to assess any plumbing. And it was from the 50s. And so the plumbing in the shower had rotted, so the water wouldn't drain in it. So we called a rooter company to come out there and like try to scope it. And they were like, trying to put this brush on a cord down in there to try to clear it out a little bit. And it had eroded so much that gravel was coming up. They were able to scoop gravel out of it. They're like, this pipe essentially doesn't even exist anymore. So that whole bathroom floor would have had to be jacked up to do it. And we didn't even know. We're like, if that's happening in the shower, it's probably happening throughout the rest of the house. That would be crazy to rip up that much concrete. So otherwise, I do like slab floor houses. I do. I think that they're, I don't know, solid, but that's a risk you take.
I know. I have one right now. So that's why I ask. It's and that's what, and it's galvanized plumbing. So, I mean, it's a risk. I don't know what's going to happen.
The only way to fix it is to jack the floor up to replace it. That's just crazy.
That is crazy.
And then you have to re-pour concrete inside the house.
Yeah. Another thing, we're talking about inspectors and how they might, kill a deal. There is a few inspectors too that are also kind of like handymen. So they know how to fix things. I think if you are hiring, usually your realtor will know if they do have another side business where they fix things. But it's happened to me where they'll, make something a bigger deal than it is, but then they'll offer their services. I don't like that. The person that was doing this, I stopped using them.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. But I just don't think it's appropriate. We just need to know the facts.
It's actually illegal.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't.
So,
I guess I was
know
just
of a
like, okay, whatever.
contractor that, or a home inspector who is a handyman contractor, a general contractor. And I asked him to come do a pre-inspection on the house. And I said, and we need you to do some work to it as well. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't. He said, I can't do the home inspection. I can do the work first and kind of just give you my contractor opinion on it, but I won't give you an inspection report on it. I'll do the work for you. And then when a buyer wants to do a home inspection, they should hire a different home inspector.
Yeah.
Or if it's like so much time later, he can
Which
come
is
back
good
and
that
do it.
he was honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've had it the other way around where they are trying to offer their services. And I'm like,
Oh, because
what?
if they do a home inspection and then they offer to do the work, they can intentionally pick out as many things as possible on the home inspection. So it could be a conflict of interest. And then they're trying to get the work.
Right.
That's not okay.
Right.
That's why it's illegal.
Yeah. So I stopped using that person because I didn't think it was right. And at the end of the day, there was another person that I would use a lot, and they would ask me, how big of a deal do you want me to make this? And I'm like, what do you mean? If it's a big deal, we need to know.
That's what we're hiring you to decide.
Yeah, it's not up to me. What do you mean? Like, at the end of the day, I will not tell my client something if there's a big issue. I need to know that's a big issue. It doesn't matter what I think. What is the real answer? That's you're the inspector. It's almost like I feel like they wanted me to like, let's see, we'll make it a big deal so you guys can get this or get that. And it's like, no, we need to know if it is a big deal. Should my client back out because of it? Or is it something we can ask for? You know what I mean?
I almost feel like
so I cut that person off too for the same reason.
I think they were asking you that in order to try to help leverage your response, which they shouldn't be concerned about how we're responding. They should just assess it for what it is and say that it is what it is. You can decide what you want to do with that information.
Right. And for me, it's very like, it has to be very black and white because I can't play favorites or do this or no, I just can't do it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Okay, so other things that can kill deals. I mentioned appraisals. So I feel like that's not as common, but appraisals, if there's a low appraisal on a house and it's by like $25,000 and the sellers they physically cannot, or financially, they cannot come down to that price, but the buyer can't come in with additional cash to make up the difference. That's a deal killer in itself right there. Pretty easy. And so, but I mean, like if an appraisal is going to kill a deal, then there's like not much you can do about it.
And usually, I mean,
hopefully the seller would come down because I don't think it's fair for a buyer to overpay for a home. And I just helped a buyer do that.
Most buyers won't overpay.
Right.
I know it's happened to me. The 5 years I've been doing this, it's only happened 5 times. And every single time we've gotten the seller to come down. But again, every single buyer, I told them, if they do not come down, are you willing to walk away so I can communicate that? And every time, hey, this is what my buyer says. They're not going to, they're not going to pay the difference. If we can't come to terms, we're going to have to walk away. And every single time they've made it work.
Good.
Which
Good.
thankfully, right? We haven't been in a position where the seller's gonna like lose out money or something.
Yeah.
I know that recently happened to you, right?
Yes.
So, but you never know. I mean, sometimes those numbers are really, really tight and there's
Yeah.
no room.
A few episodes back, I talked about this really terrible deal that I had going on where the realtors and lenders were not easy to work with. My clients were nice, but it was really difficult. Basically, the appraisal was $5,000 low. The sellers were already upside down in the home. They had to bring money to the closing table just to get out. And so they couldn't reduce their price any
Mhm.
further because they would have had to go get more money to bring. And so I had split it with the lender and the other realtor three-way to come up with a $5,000 difference because my clients didn't have the money to bring in either. And it was just, yeah, it was really difficult. I hated that we had to do that because in the end, my client overpaid for the house.
Mhm.
But they were kind of desperate for housing and we had to make it happen.
Yeah.
I also, in 2021, yeah, I sold a house where we had a low appraisal by $30,000.
Wow.
And the seller said, I'll come down $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
And
what
my
the heck?
client, who had, without telling me, pre-ordered this huge shed and all new flooring for the house,
My
pre-ordered
God.
them. So they were already like on shipment. He decided, I've already bought all the stuff. I'm just going to have to come up with a difference to pay for it. So he paid $27,000 over the
That's
appraised value for
crazy.
this house. Yeah.
And that was
I was like,
that was when it was crazy
he
though.
really wanted it too, though. He really wanted this house. And this house had been on the market for a bit, but the seller was stubborn and the other realtor can be a difficult realtor, but they were, I mean, she was like, I'm so sorry. Like this seller is just stubborn and I can't
Yeah.
do anything about it. I mean,
Yeah.
she's at the point where she's going to call it all off and I'll lose the listing even if we can't figure
Come
this
to
out.
terms, yeah.
She's like, this is the final offer from her. And so my client said, fine, I'll cover it. So he
Yeah.
did.
Wow.
And yeah,
Not
they
my
still
clients.
live there, and actually they probably could recoup their costs now. It's been long enough, but yeah. Anyways, it's just like a low appraisal can really kill the deal, and then lenders, I feel like can kind of kill a deal sometimes. Hopefully not, but if a lender doesn't know what they're doing, or they maybe miss something, it can really kill the
Yeah.
deal. Like if you get surprises at the end, or surprises along the way about financing, like. We just found this credit issue that
Yeah.
we probably should have caught when we were pre-approving you, but we
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. Or
And
hey, I didn't actually pre-approve them. I just pre-qualified them.
yeah,
And now we're under contract and
yeah,
that's also not gonna
yeah.
work.
I feel like that
Yeah.
doesn't happen as
Mhm.
common, but it
Mm.
has happened.
Yeah.
Surprises that can kill a deal. How about things that are just completely
Weird
out of anybody's
things.
control?
This happened to me yesterday. I don't know if it's going to kill our deal. We'll find out maybe next episode. But so there's a house that we had an inspection on yesterday and we had seen this cross on there before. It's in the listing photos in the lawn. Usually a cross somewhere rather, other than inside your house means like someone passed away or something, right? Like when you're
Well, if
driving
it's in the
down.
yard, I would almost think it's a grave for a pet or
Right.
something.
That's what I thought. Well, we were at the inspection and I was under a window and my client was like, Priscilla, there's a cross above you in oil. So I look and I turn on my flashlight and I go like this and there's 3 crosses.
Oh, so you couldn't see him at first?
No.
It was like by reflection?
Yes,
What?
yes. So almost like they grabbed oil and then they painted them.
Yeah.
So there was 3 crosses. And mind you, the window was like this. So this was a window and this is a window.
On a corner?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 crosses here, 3 crosses here. And then I looked over at the doorway, right, from the living room to the kitchen, and I saw 3 crosses. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't want to move. I kid you not. I was just standing there and I was like, I'm scared. Like that freaked me out because it's just different. It's weird.
Like spiritual stuff.
Yes.
Mhm.
So then my client, the husband walked away and he went into another room and then he comes back and me and the wife are we're in the kitchen area and we're just like, we're talking about it. We're kind of freaking out. We're just girls, whatever. And he's like, yeah, there's crosses above every doorway, in the bathrooms, in the rooms, on the doors of the closets. There's crosses everywhere. We had not seen this. We hadn't seen this. We walked this house twice with the same family. We didn't see any of it ever. They didn't even see the first cross. It was in the photos.
Wow.
So then we went to the rest of the house. There's crosses everywhere. The bathrooms, the doorway to the rooms, everything. The entry door, like everywhere. And I was like, to me, it was freaking me out. We got more information from the listing agent. It just sounds like it was a previous really religious family. I Googled what it meant. It's nothing bad. It's supposed to be like, something Christian protection, whatever. But it's still different. It could be a deal killer because it's weird. It's different. What if the person buying this isn't religious?
Mhm.
Or what if, I don't know. It's just, it
I
was freaky. It was freaking me out.
Yeah, I have heard of like
Mhm.
spiritual stuff like that
Mhm.
before. I feel like I don't know. I don't think I would mind that much if I really liked the house.
Mhm.
I would
I know the
because
husband didn't care. He's like, whatever, this is fine.
I think it all comes from a good
Mhm.
intention of trying to, like, if you're spiritual, it's to ward off
Mhm.
bad spirits. It's
Mhm.
like to protect this home.
Mhm.
And I almost kind of like that idea a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, rather than like if it was like Antichrist crosses all
Right.
around, I'd be like, okay, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, was this
Yeah.
a satanic
And
worship spot or what?
right. And that's what the husband said. He's like, at least they're not like upside down crosses. They're
Yeah.
regular crosses, which I was like, yeah, you're right. And we Googled it and it does have a good meaning.
Mm.
So it made us a little bit more at peace. But still, when we were there, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting a weird feeling. I'm getting a weird feeling.
Yeah.
But
Well, and like other things that could kill a deal that are kind of out of people's
Mhm.
control is like surprises along the way. So if something happens at the
Mhm.
house, okay, how about this? It catches on fire.
Right.
That can kill a deal.
Right.
If one of the owners dies
Right.
during the process,
Yeah.
or if the owners
Mhm.
or owner
Mhm.
dies, that kills the deal.
Mhm.
Some of those things are completely out of your control.
Right.
I just sold a house that it's closed now, so I think I can say this, but there was a suicide there. And
Okay.
so it was an
Did you know
estate.
about it
Mhm.
before? Okay.
Yeah. And I actually knew who it was
Oh,
too. But
wow.
it was an estate. He was the only owner and he took his life. And so the family who went through probate and all that, when they listed it for sale with me, they said, we would prefer, we're not required to do that. They knew they were not required to do a seller disclosure
Mhm.
statement, which doesn't even ask about
Mhm.
death in the home. But they said, we would prefer if you at least let people know that he took his life here because
Mhm.
we don't want people coming back to us later if they find out from a neighbor or something and being
Right.
mad.
Right.
So I told the people who bought it,
Mhm.
and they were a youth pastor at a
Oh.
church, and I pulled them aside during the showing. I didn't represent them, but I showed them the house and I
Mhm.
just said, hey, I got to let you know this is from the seller. I just want to
Mhm.
let you know that he took his life here.
Mhm.
The owner did. And if you have questions, you can let us know. But I
Mhm.
just want you to know that so you
Mhm.
don't have any surprises and you can think about that, how you feel about it, and just
Mhm.
make your own decision. And
Mhm.
he just said, I really appreciate you letting me know.
Mhm.
And they still bought it.
Yeah.
And so,
So funny
yeah.
because my client, I had a final walkthrough right before this. And this house, when we first went to go see this house, and mind you, I saw this house maybe like 4 times because I had different clients that wanted to go see it. There's holes everywhere. There's broken doors. There's broken every single window. There's probably like 10 windows broken, like shattered. Not by mistake. There was obviously something happening in this house, but my client asked me, she's like, I wonder if, something like really bad ever happened, like somebody lost their life here or something. And she's like, but you would tell us, right? And I'm like, if I know, yes. If I know, yes, I'll tell you because I'm very, very almost too honest. I'll tell you. But if I don't know, then I don't know. If I find out after, I said, honestly, if I find out after, I don't know if I tell you. I might because
Same.
I might.
I've been
Yeah,
through this.
I know you have. But
I wouldn't say it.
I don't know that I want to like disturb your peace if I
Right.
find something after the fact.
It's not just
know.
easy for them to sell the house after they just bought it.
Right. And I don't, if you're happy there and everything's going well, I don't want this to kind of surprise you like it's going to surprise me.
Mhm.
If I know about it, I'll tell you. I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I know you've been through this. I told them your
I
story.
don't want to talk
By the
about
way, I
it.
told them your story. I said, this happened at this house. And I mean, he didn't know. When
I
you
know.
sold the
I
house, you
didn't.
didn't know
I had
until
no
after.
idea.
So I
And
said,
that's
and he
not doing
never
them any
told them.
favors.
Yeah.
Not doing any
Yeah.
favors. And it wasn't it was not like, it wasn't a murder, but it was
Mhm.
just like somebody passed away there and it was like not, it just wasn't going to help
Right.
anything. So yeah, gosh, there's some houses in town where people have been murdered. That's like that in any city.
Mhm.
People get murdered anywhere, and
Yeah.
sometimes they build. They have this reputation then, right? And so if somebody's purchasing that home, like I feel like they should know that. If I knew about it,
Mhm.
I would. I
Yeah.
think I only know of
Mhm.
like 2 houses
Like murder house.
where pretty gruesome murders have happened.
Really? What
Mhm.
happened?
Well, one of them is on 40th Avenue, kind of near Summit View on the south side of 40th, where, and I think this was a story, it might have been before I was born. It was a long time ago, but a mother, let's see, no, it was a daughter. She cut up her mother in a bathtub. She cut her up into pieces in the bathtub.
No way.
Yeah.
Here in Yakima?
Yep. I could point out the house if we drove past.
Oh my gosh. Can you tell me once we're off which house it is?
Well, it's, yeah, and I don't even know the
that.
address. I could share with you guys, but I don't know what it is. I just know it's got like a little round half driveway, like in the front, and a carport.
Oh my gosh, I think I know what house it is.
There's a few houses like that, so you have to know
Oh
which
my
one it is.
gosh, if you're buying a house on 40th,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
How scary.
Well, I mean, it like it
That's
happened.
like-
The house is just a house still,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
true.
it's been cleaned up, and I don't know. But yeah, so can you think of other things that would kill a deal that are like what kills a deal?
I mean,
before
just don't
closing?
quit your job,
Yeah, you don't want to. Financing kills deals.
Don't buy a car.
Neighborhood reviews. Like I feel like I've had clients kind of they like a house, they make an offer, and then I have one client that drove through the neighborhood a few times after that, and their niece told them, "You're buying a house in the ghetto," and it was West Valley.
That's
like
funny.
your niece doesn't know anything.
That is funny.
Your niece, whoever she is, doesn't know anything. But
Yeah.
they were like, "Yeah, we changed our mind on the neighborhood. We don't like it. And it's just too many people park cars on the street and not in their driveways. They don't have a lot of pride in their care of ownership around this neighborhood. So they backed out. And hey, that's a right you have to back out. But it's too late. So they lost their earnest money. They thought it was worth losing $3,000 to get out.
That's
so
crazy. That's crazy. I've never actually had anyone back out because of the neighborhood. And I've sold in all kinds of neighborhoods. I mean, I think there's a right, even if it's like the ghetto or whatever it is, it just depends like what you're used to, what you grew up around, and if you're comfortable living there.
Yeah. Everybody has their own
Everyone
judgment.
has their own judgment. I mean, where I grew up, where, when I was in high school, the area that I lived in might have been considered the ghetto or like the hood, but I turned out fine. You know what I mean?
So many people do.
It just depends. It just depends. I think, I don't know. I remember there was a house that I sold in a certain area, and I thought like, oh my gosh, we're going to have trouble like selling this just because of the price, because of the area. But no, it sold quicker than any other house I had listed at that time. And the people that bought it was literally somebody that lived in the area that wanted their kids to go, to that school that was nearby. And they were comfortable living there. They said they've been living there their whole lives. And I was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that one thankfully doesn't really happen too much to me, but I don't think it's a big issue.
No.
As long as obviously you get to decide where you want to live. So
yeah, it's your choice. Nobody's
you
forcing
choose
you.
you choose accordingly. What else? I'm trying to think of something else. Just influence from the wrong people, mainly, or like someone's opinion. I remember I had somebody one time that didn't buy. They were between two houses, and a friend of theirs that bought a house actually also with me said like, no, that one, this, and that, and I'm just like, like. Honestly, I think the other one would have been a better deal for you than this one, but hey.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends. Like, pay attention to who's giving you the advice. Are they homeowners? When did they buy a home? If it's not a homeowner, do you really want their opinion?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because they don't know. They don't know what what the process is. They don't know the cost of things. So, you're paying $500, $450 for an inspection. That's too much. No, it's not. That's normal.
That's what it goes for.
You're paying the closing costs. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Closing costs usually can be negotiable, but if you're competing,
Right.
you can't beat someone that does have the money, but you don't.
Right.
So there's so many things that I think can kill a deal, but when you're influenced by the wrong person, that is such a big one.
It is a big one.
Yeah, that's usually
a lot.
my deal killers. That or inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are the two. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's probably all I've got.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I could think of a lot of little one-off reasons, but who knows? Crazy
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So, well, everybody,
Okay.
thank you for watching this episode of Off the Market Confessions.
Yeah.
As always, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify, and we post our shorts on our social media page on Instagram. It's the OTMC podcast or Off the Market Confessions. If you look up either of those, you'll find us. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week because we're going to have a special guest. So we'll see you soon.
Don't listen to the wrong people.
Yes. Okay, bye.